All right. Good morning, friends. It's Monday morning, so I wanted to pop on here quick this morning and give just a 10-minute talk here. And I'm going to make a future video about this subject, but I just wanted to bring it into your guys' awareness to know that this is happening on a large, and it is extremely important to be aware about this in our ascension journeys. So the awakening process for most people at a collective level is thought to have started near the year in the 2000s, 1999, 2000, and it has been increasing since that time. More and more people are waking up. And if more and more people are waking up, this poses a problem for those people that are trying to control or manipulate reality. So there has been a large scale disinformation and propaganda, especially within the New Age movement, especially within the spiritual community. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, when I talk about wolves in sheep's clothing, and when I say certain things, that is what I'm talking about. And I haven't made a video specifically yet addressing this issue because it's kind of a dangerous game, if you will, to be some type of whistleblower or to start to talk about this, because you're giving more power over to these entities that are trying to control and manipulate. So there are five principles. There's five principles, basic principles of psychological warfare. Number one is to invoke fear. The purpose is to manufacture as much fear as possible to create dread and terror in the minds of the people so that they will avoid rising in groups and instead become weaker and disabled. To maintain this continual state of fear buried in life's many stressors, as well as perceived threats to survival, means activating the fight or fight reaction in the human nervous system and brain. So if we're continually in this fight or flight system, it eventually takes a very serious toll on our overall health, on our bodies, on our state of mind, and it rapidly breaks down our immune system. And increases of disease and all types of mental imbalances occur with this fear. So many people don't realize that popular culture and movies, in particular, I can think of one show such as The Walking Dead. When it first came out, I thought it was such a great show, but it's promoting this whole death culture and this very violent way of being. And if you notice in many of these shows, while they may be cool and it feels like this thing that you're a part of, it's like this cult-like thing, there is no higher principles in these shows such as God or spirituality. It's very earthly, it's very dark, it's very low vibration, it's very graphic porn, right? Almost as if it's porn, but it's this dopamine hit of seeing someone get their head blown off or zombies get torn into pieces. And it's exciting because we're in this fight or flight system. It's activating the fight or flight system because remember, when we watch pictures and the TV, the brain, although in your moment, you know that it's not real, in the subconscious mind does not recognize real or unreal. So just keep that in mind. Basic principles of psychological warfare. Number one, to invoke fear. Number two, division to confusion. If you can keep groups of people divided and confused, they cannot unite. So I'm talking about all these things in this psychological warfare because this is happening within the New Age movement. And yes, it could be happening in information that I'm taking in. You've probably seen some type of teacher or group that has channeled false information. There's groups that are targeting people that are channeling specifically to give them false information. When the opponent group targeted for attack is large, cooperative, and unified in their forces by separating them from one another or separating them into smaller units, the entire group is more easily defeated and controlled. When the separation into smaller units is successful, the attack is then on their common bonds of unity, seeking to confuse them with fear and misinformation so they will not know which way to turn, what to expect, or who to trust. In the stewardship of any project or organization, this is a critical concept to understand. Number 3, demoralization, a process in psychological warfare with the object to erode morale, or dehumanize those perceived as the enemy by intending to destroy their dignity and morale. It can encourage them to retreat, surrender, or defect rather than confront them or to defeat them in physical combat. Demoralization and dehumanization is the most important tool of psychological warfare and intentional torture used to break a person. Number 4, ignorance versus intelligence. Those that have the most knowledge, intelligence, and conscious awareness of what is really happening in world events will have the most strategic advantage. Those that do not have access to accurate awareness of events or truthful knowledge, but instead are manipulated and deceived to believe false impressions and illusions, will be at a greater disadvantage. What is that saying? It is pretty much saying that the large masses of the world population are being manipulated and deceived by false impressions and illusions because they do not know the truth, and they do not have the eyes or the ears to hear from their soul, to have this intuitive ability to understand and discern higher wisdom and truth. Managing intelligence and controlling access to information includes supplying the perceived enemy or opponent with disinformation in order to trick them into making the wrong decisions based on lies. In the current warfare climate, diminishing easy access to open source knowledge and sharing of information freely within the global community, it is an important concept to understand. So no, just because the internet is an open source platform, do not think for a minute that all this channeled information, such as the Galactic Federation, such as all these other alien groups that are trying to contact channelers and teachers that follow these certain groups, do not think for a minute that just because they're channeling some extraterrestrial group that this information is genuine or that they're trying to help humanity. I always questioned that when I heard about this stuff. I thought to myself, like, why? Like, what is going on? A red flag always goes up when I hear about trying to help humanity. And then the last concept on this basic principles of psychological warfare is to overwhelm and wear down. Constantly use greater strength in applying heavy forces that overwhelm your opponent by creating never-ending issues that are designed to wear them down and erode their willpower and resiliencies. Bureaucracies, impossible compliance, insurance, tax, and legal channels that keep people bogged down in never-ending paperwork, long lists and queues under the threat of intimidation or threat to financial security or persecution. This is also carried out in legal forms as death by 1,000 paper cuts, through the increase of overwhelming problems and burdensome bills. Does this sound familiar? When people's hopes are crushed and their expectations for their life are confused and burdened, eventually they become so drained they have no energy to refuse the constant attempts of subjugation and just give up. Does this sound familiar? Do bureaucracies, impossible compliance, insurance, tax, legal channels, the system, the matrix, is it coming together? All this stuff is designed by design to divide us, to confuse us, to invoke fear into us and demoralize us by taking our power away. So that is, in a nutshell, what the control of all this is about. It's about controlling people's power, because if the people take their power back and understand who they truly are, we start to wake up. We start to become sovereign. We start to become powerful. And the world simply cannot have that. The controller forces of the world simply cannot have that. So I just wanted to shoot this video to make you guys aware of some of the things that are going on in the spiritual community and the New Age movement. Now, the New Age movement, I've talked about this before, but just for the sake of this video and people that don't understand what the New Age movement is, the New Age movement is anything, even including this channel here, even though I don't consider myself New Age, somebody from the outside looking in would consider this channel a New Age channel. New Age is anything, any channel that is talking about spirituality or awakening is classified as this New Age movement. It's this umbrella that kind of lumps all this stuff together. Now, the New Age movement, though, is born from souls that are truly awakening in this now moment. So my soul has awakened in this now moment, and I'm, bubbling forth with all this wisdom and knowledge and trying to share that with others, which encompasses this New Age movement. It's kind of hard to understand if you look at it but if you start to break it down into all these little parts, all of the whole umbrella is encompassing this New Age movement. Is the New Age movement bad in and of itself? No, it's not bad in and of itself. Hopefully, it's waking up a lot of people that have the hunger and the desire to learn, to seek, to know, to empower, to question authority and think for themselves. As Timothy Leary so elegantly put it, it is to wake up. It is to understand what is going on. And this election process illuminated areas that otherwise were hidden in shadows. So if we learned anything throughout the last couple months, it is definitely to open our eyes to what exactly is going on. All right. So I may make a in-depth video about this, about the control agenda, about misinformation, and about these aspects of psychological warfare. Because as Sun Tzu, the greatest military Chinese strategist, said, he said the best victory in warfare is the one in which you never have to fight your enemy in actual combat. So, as St. Paul also said, we fight against principalities and rulers and authorities in high places, not against flesh and blood. So I will end this video for there. I don't normally shoot videos like this that are talking about conspiracy and things like that, but I cannot be silent any longer and just continue to talk about these things in vague commonalities. So now you have some information here, and you can do with that what you will. I'm just merely opening up this discussion. You guys can drop some comments down below of maybe some teachings and things that you used to follow, and then maybe you became aware that this was false information, because there are false prophets and there are false teachers. People need to be aware about this. And of course, as someone, as an influencer of spirituality, I always have to ask myself, where is this information coming from? What are you talking about? Where is it coming from? Is it coming from a higher place of love, of godliness, or is it coming from the fear-based ego? Is it coming from some Luciferian doctrine? Where is this information coming from? It's important. It's important. Everything that you hear, every teaching that you hear, you have to ask yourself, is this drawing me closer to God, to empowerment, to being a sovereign spiritual being? That is the most important thing. So I just wanted to put this out there, because recently I saw some things that were a little bit alarming, and speaking with some people, and they were truly convinced that these things and some of these things that were happening were real, and it was just a fabrication of negative propaganda. So just be aware of what's going on out there in the world, in the spiritual community, and especially online. Especially online. You guys have an awesome day. This week, coming up on the channel, I will have a edited video. I have 2 coming out. I'm not sure what the topic of this week's video will be, but there will be a edited video coming out later this week. And then we do have the Scorpion new moon coming up on Saturday, the 14th, which is at the end of this week. So I will be doing an energy update for the new moon probably on Thursday. So I might just set up a live stream recording. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a upcoming live scheduled for Thursday. Not sure what time, but that will be the live energy update. And I'll do an oracle card reading for some tips to get us through this period. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Much love.